Now, while much of the east coast, as we saw, of the country has been soaked with consistent rain, and that continues throughout the course of next week, there are large parts of Victoria and South Australia in drought. Joining me live is Dr Sara Hely, Director at the Victorian Drought Resilience Adoption and Innovation Hub. Welcome to the program. How bad is it at the moment?
We know around the southwest of Victoria, about 90% of that region is in unseasonably dry conditions, and this has been a long period. So this has happened over successive months and in some cases years.
What are the challenges? And I know that that's a question that you could go on forever with, but some of the pivotal challenges for our people in those communities.
Australian farmers are really well accustomed to dealing with extreme climate and dry conditions, and they're very good at still managing to produce food for Australians and even our overseas counterparts. However, the hardest thing about these current conditions is uncertainty, and that is when you're expecting to see rainfall and it doesn't, and that happens over a period of months and years. That makes it really difficult to plan, and that is something that we really focus on in the hub, is more around preparedness and building resilience in preparation for dry conditions. But at the moment, there's a level of uncertainty that some of these communities haven't seen before.
What part do you think climate change is playing in all of this?
We have seen some widespread changes in seasonal predictions, or averages. Areas that would normally experience rainfall of around 500 mils per year, that might not mean much to an average person. They've been, over the last few years, receiving significantly less than that. And that's not unusual to have highs and lows, but when that is falling, the rainfall is happening at times of the year that they're not expecting, and in intense bouts that can make it difficult to manage that limited amount of water to keep their farms going through those drier times.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think government's doing enough? Is it sometimes a case of out of sight, out of mind?
The government is working as hard as they can to identify communities that are really suffering and making sure support is getting to those. It is a complex situation with drought. Unlike other types of natural occurrences, there are multiple factors that decide whether support needs to be increased. We at the hub have what we call a model where we have our organisations working in those communities, so people with lived experience. And as someone who's grown up in a small country town and currently does, knowing what those people are going through allows us to give really tailored support, mental health support, business support, financial advice to suit their needs. And we think that's really effective. And so we work with governments to value add and add on to the work that they are able to provide to these communities in tough times.
We know our farmers are tough and resilient, but it's not enough sometimes, is it?
Not, and we've seen this happen even in areas that have only just experienced uncertain times or lower than average rainfall. Those impacts can happen within weeks of expecting rainfall and they're not getting it. So it's not just areas like Southwest that are feeling it at the moment. We're seeing other parts of Victoria where farmers are making decisions in anticipation for things getting worse, and that puts a lot of stress on them and their families.
How important is it for farmers, rural, regional people to get together, also for city people to be educated in this space? I know that you're speaking over the next few months at the Future Ag Conference in Melbourne. How important are these gatherings, get-togethers, conferences?
Yeah, we know that not everyone wants to go to a mental health or a support event. So we do try our best to provide events that add a little bit of lightheartedness or social connectivity, and that allows us to bring other bits of information that they might not feel so comfortable in reaching out for, such as mental health support or financial advice. And it does create a little bit of joy and connection. And when we all know how important that is when we're going through a tough time, just being around supportive people, supportive communities. And in Australia and Victoria in particular, our regional communities really wrap around people doing it tough, and they'll pitch in and they'll help on the farm, and they'll, make the sandwiches and really support each other. So we're really committed to ensuring those opportunities to connect in tough times are available to our regional communities.
Thank you so much for coming on the program. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.